A lot of time we as Christians are looking for the pop, the flash of lightning, the shaking of the building, the moving of the spirit, as we like to call it, the excitement. A lot of time we're looking for excitement. And I know, and I've probably said similar things before, but I know there are those who think, well, if we go to church and somebody doesn't shout, somebody doesn't run, somebody doesn't cry, well, we just didn't have church. So they're looking for that. And if they don't always get that, then they feel shortchanged or feel cheated or feel, you know, I got to go somewhere where I can get that. And that's kind of the basis for this scripture that I'm going to talk about. But before we get into the scripture in chapter 32, before what we're going to read about here, I want you to remember that God had brought the children of Israel out of Egypt. They saw some amazing things in order to get them out of Egypt. The plagues that God sent, the flies and the frogs and the hail, the fiery hail and the water to blood and all those things that they saw God do in Egypt that got them out of Egypt. And after they left Egypt, God fed them with manna. God sent quail into the camp to feed them. They got water from a rock. The water parted, and they could walk through on dry ground. God destroyed those who would destroy them. All these amazing things that these people saw. And then we get to this point, and just before where we're getting into, if you would read back, God has given instructions, and I'm not going to go read them or anything like that, but God has given instructions for how the tabernacle is to be built, how it's to be furnished, everything that's to be done. Well, that's pretty boring, right? When you go to church and he's just talking about instructions on how to do stuff, but it was important. This is extremely important because this is where God's presence was going to appear, where God's presence was going to come. This is the place that they were supposed to come to meet with God. But there's quite a few chapters there about the instructions on making the tabernacle what it should be. Boring to the people. They wanted the pop. They wanted the flash. They wanted the excitement. So we get into chapter 32. And it begins, and when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down from the mount. Moses had been called up on the mount. Moses had been called to hear from God. And when they saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. And they rose up early on the morrow, and offered burnt offerings, and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink, and rose up to play. And the Lord said unto Moses, Get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. I'm going to stop reading right there and go back to the theme that I was talking about. These people had seen some amazing things from God, had seen what God had done. All the miracles that God did, everything he did to provide for them, to keep them, to bring them through the wilderness, to destroy the Egyptians. all these amazing things they had done. But they came to a period in this journey where there wasn't a whole lot going on. And as soon as they got the chance, when Moses was all meeting with God and getting the word from God and getting direction from God and things like that, and there wasn't a whole lot going on, they began to look for something else. They wanted the excitement. They wanted something else. They wanted something that would, for lack of a better term, pump them up. They wanted an experience. So what did they do? They went to Aaron, and I want you to know, Aaron was a man of God. You go back a couple chapters, and that's where it was told that Aaron and his sons shall be the priests. Aaron was a man of God, and they came to him, and they got him to make them this calf. And so Aaron made them this calf, and you read the rest of that there, and they said that this be your gods, and then Aaron said, tomorrow shall be a feast unto the Lord. Now, he wasn't talking about God. He was talking about that calf, that golden calf that they had made. And so, on that next day, here, let me read it to you. He built an altar before it, and Aaron made proclamation and said, tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. They rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings, and the people sat down to eat and drank and rose up to play. These people wanted something else other than what God had given them. They wanted something that would give them an experience, that would give them that excitement. So they found somebody that would do what they wanted. I want to bring this into today, and I want to tell you, we got to be careful about everything that says it's God is not God. When you begin to look for something that'll make you feel something, when you begin to look for something that is what you classify as church, that it is what you want to receive from church, it's easy to be pulled away into something that is not. I'll give you an example, and I talk about these things all the time, and many others do too. A lot of the so-called churches today, it's all about excitement. It's all about entertainment. That's why we have the worship bands, and that's why we have all these other things going on to keep people pumped up and to keep people excited and to give people what they want. And you know, some of these people that I listen to today, at one time, I thought were very godly men and were preaching the gospel. But here they found out if they want to get people to follow them and they want to get people to look up to them, all they got to do is what the people want them to do. And that's what Aaron did. Aaron decided he was going to do what the people, there's no argument. You read that. Aaron didn't say, now wait a minute, we can't be doing anything like that. That's not of God. You know what Aaron said? Bring me gold. I'll give you what you want. We got that going on today. And we've got to be very careful. And then this man Aaron, who was a man of God, God had said that Aaron and his son shall be the priest, makes this idol, and then he declares that idol is the Lord, because he said, tomorrow we're going to have a feast to the Lord. And so the people rose up and they ate and they drank, and you read on later, it don't say it right here, but they were dancing and carrying on. And you know, I kind of picture it a lot like what we have in churches today. You can see some of this stuff if you choose to go look it up. You can see some of the stuff that's supposed to be worship, and the people are jumping around and doing that slam dancing and mosh pits and all this kind of other stuff, and they're saying this is worshiping the Lord. And how did it get to a point like that? Because people felt they needed excitement. People felt, unless we're getting something like that, unless something is constantly moving me and stirring me, then it ain't God. But I want to tell you something. Just before all this happened, God was giving some very important instructions. We would say it was boring to sit and to listen to the dimensions of the tabernacle and how the Ark of the Covenant had to be made. But it was crucial, because if it wasn't done exactly how God said, it wasn't acceptable. There's a lot of time, we have to go through periods of time where God is doing nothing but instructing us, because it's crucial that we understand the instruction so that we can worship and serve God the way that He wants us to worship and to serve God. There are times we'll go through just like the children of Israel. and we'll see God do amazing things in our lives. Probably everybody here can look back and see somewhere God has done something amazing. God has moved in your life. There are people here who have experienced miracles of healing. People have experienced miracles of provision. People have experienced other kind of things. But then after a little while, we forget about that because nothing's happening right now. It's getting boring now. I need something to move me. I need something to excite me. And that's what's happened in the church today. And I'm going to tell you something. Not everything. Though Aaron was a priest, God chose him to be a priest. He turned the wrong way. You got to be careful about following men. Just because they say, well, God gave me this to give to you. God told me this stuff and give it to you. And that stuff that he's telling you and that stuff that he's doing gets you excited and gets you pumped up. Well, it must be God if it gets me excited. Well, they were excited. And it wasn't God. And then we have got to be careful. Everybody, I'm telling, not everybody, excuse me when I say things like that, but a lot of people are running to and fro from church to church to church to church, trying to find something that'll crank their handle, that'll pump them up, that'll get them excited. They're not satisfied with just coming and hearing from God if along with hearing from God, they don't get a little jolt once in a while. They don't get to get up and run. They don't get to shout. They don't get all these other things. They're not satisfied with that. And I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. When you come face to face and toe to toe with the devil, he don't care how loud you shout.
That's right.
He don't care how high you jump. What worries him is when you got the Word embedded in your heart. What worries him is when you know how to use the Word. That's why it's necessary to receive instruction. Just like they had to receive instruction about the building of the tabernacle, we need to receive instruction about how to live this life, how to fight these battles, how to handle situations, how to handle circumstances. We need to receive instruction on stop doing that and start doing this. We need to receive instruction on you're walking in the wrong path, get back in the right way. That stuff ain't fun. That stuff ain't exciting, but it's necessary. And I'll be completely honest with you, I think it is exciting. When God corrects me, when God shows me where I've been wrong and puts me on the right path, that's exciting to me because now I know I'm drawing closer to God. I know God cares and wants me to do right. I know that He's taken the time to straighten me out. And again, we got to stop looking for all these other things. I can name you probably 10 churches off the top of my head, not too very far from this place, where if they can't get you worked up, then they think they failed. If the people don't come out having had an experience of people shouting and running and hooting and hollering and stuff like that, they don't think God was in the house. I've heard people stand and say, when they sing a song, if that don't make you shout, then there's something wrong with you. They based their entire concept of God and their relationship with God and their Christianity on emotional outpouring. And it's not that. And we need to be careful. There are so many charlatans out there. There are so many out there that are just trying to get the people to like them, to get a crowd, to do whatever these kind of things are. There are people who have genuinely been deceived themselves, and now they're deceiving others and trying to get everybody into this. I want you to take a look. I don't know how many of you watch Christian television, but you take a look and 90% of them are those kind of things going on. There are things going on that are not to be going on and being called godly and being called Christian. This is the biggest one that I know of, so I'm going to use it. How many of you know of Hillsong? Very well known. Very music out there, very popular music, well-known music. Did you ever watch one of their services? Mm-hmm. There's all kind of occultic symbols and things like that. Well, let me tell you this. Anybody ever hear the naked cowboy that used to sing in New York in his underwear? Uh-huh. They had him in their service. Things like that